Part of Mia's moral outrage at Woody was that he groomed Soon-Yi, a claim she made because Woody and Soon-Yi met when Soon-Yi was so young. Yet Mia's first husband was Frank Sinatra, whom she married in 1966. How old was she when she first met Sinatra? 11. Sinatra even made a vague pedophile joke when he first laid eyes on her. "Pretty girl," he said, to which Mia's dad replied, "You stay away from her." She would date Sinatra when she was 19, even younger than when Soon-Yi started dating Woody. Yet no one claims that Sinatra groomed Mia Farrow. Many journalists continue to express disgust at Soon-Yi and Woody's age difference. Yet they give Mia Farrow and Frank Sinatra a pass. My point is the inconsistent manner in which we treat Mia's behavior versus Soon-Yi's. We give Mia a halo effect that makes us uncritical. Yet Soon-Yi continues to be shamed for dating an older man. They say she's a puppet and a victim. Mia continues to push this narrative even though it's hypocritical to her own life. In fact, in most regards, Soon-Yi and Mia have near parallel circumstances when it comes to love. They both fell in love with much older men when they were very young women. They both met these men when they were just children. The only difference is that Soon-Yi's relationship would continue to last, while Mia would commit infidelity, which contributed to her divorce from Sinatra. Remember Elaine's? It was a restaurant that Woody had a permanent seat at. Losing this seat was one of the reasons Mia was so jealous of Soon-Yi. What did Elaine have to say about Mia?
What do you think about the relationship with Mia's adopted daughter?
Well, it's just like what Mia did with Sinatra. It's the same thing, the same age difference. Whatever makes everybody happy, let everybody enjoy themselves.
Now let's put the matter of Mia, Soon-Yi, and Woody's personal relationships to bed. No pun intended. Woody and Soon-Yi have been publicly shamed for over 30 years for their relationship, but is it warranted and objective? Let's look at known facts. Soon-Yi's age was a part of Mia's moral outrage. The other part was because she claimed Woody cheated on her. She called him satanic, evil, a moral tumbleweed. Yet she was cheating on Woody with Sinatra during this time. She cheated on Woody so often that she didn't even know if Ronan was Woody's or Sinatra's son.
I just asked Mia point blank, is Ronan Frank Sinatra's son? She said, possibly.
Then, when she was married to Sinatra, she cheated on him with the lead singer of the Mamas and the Papas, John Phillips. Then she betrayed a good friend of hers, singer-songwriter Dory Previn, when she was having an affair with Dory's husband, Andre Previn. Dory only found out about it when she was served with divorce papers, at which point she had a mental breakdown and was sent to a hospital. Mia admitted that she never stopped seeing Sinatra, even after they divorced.
The love affair reportedly didn't end there.
She and Frank had never really completely broken up.
Which means that she was likely cheating on Andre Previn with Sinatra as well. In fact, in the bizarre love triangle, Soon-Yi is the only one who never cheated, never betrayed anyone. Woody cheated once in his life, that we are aware of. Mia Farrow cheated in every single relationship in her entire life. It's like my boss said, once is a data point, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. Mia does have a pattern of being callous in her relationships, yet according to journalists, Soon-Yi is a socially inept one, the one who is socially inappropriate. Woody is creepy, and Mia Farrow has an amazing amount of integrity. The truth is, Mia had no real reason for moral outrage when you consider the circumstances of her life. She had no problem with cheating and dating much older men as long as she was the one doing it. My point is not to shame Mia Farrow, is to point out how biased we have been. We are endlessly critical of Soon-Yi and Woody, but we are completely oblivious to Mia's callous behavior. There's a clear reason we have given Mia a pass, and as we've seen, it's not because of the facts of her life. Mia Farrow is beautiful, telegenic, and media savvy, with a storied history with the charming, iconic, good-looking Frank Sinatra. We don't want to think of Mia or Sinatra as creepy or socially inappropriate. Meanwhile, Woody, despite his fame, is still an odd Jewish guy, and Soon-Yi is a fobby Asian immigrant. They are much easier to pick on. This points to something else that we have not contended with. Our views on sex keep changing, and it's ever dynamic, which is why it's dubious to shame people for their relationships. Woody and Mia are old. Young people like to think of themselves as more sexually liberated than older people, but it's not necessarily true. Both Woody and Mia engage in sexual activity that would be considered transgressive and inappropriate by today's standards. Evangelical Christianity peaked during the 1980s. Before then, our ideas about sex was very different. Mia and Woody both had more sex than you and me. Despite living in a post-Tinder era, studies now show that we are much less sexually active today than prior generations. We have a stereotype that older people aren't as promiscuous, but it's not true. Retirement homes are a hotbed of STDs and hookup culture. While black men couldn't consort with white women for most of the 20th century, the rules were much less strict for white Americans. If you really think older generations of white people are less promiscuous, then you've never read Anais Nin or Henry Miller. There's a straight line between the hedonism of the Jazz Age, with its petting parties and orgies, to the flower power, free love culture of the 60s. And Mia and Woody were right there along for the ride. They were libertines, sexual adventurers. They were kinky. It's a fact that Woody had sex with teenage girls. It's clear that behavior is wrong and should be condemned. But it's also a fact that it was rampant in the past, as we have seen with Mia's relationship with Sinatra. Like I said before, we have never contended with the fact that our idea of sex keeps changing. As to how exploitive it was, let's listen to his teenage girlfriend, Stacey Nelkin.
They dated in the 70s. She was 17 and he was 41.
I was one of those girls who was always looking for a daddy, and I would imagine Soon-Yi had the same kind of issues.
So that's what attracted you to Woody?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
A mature man, a father figure.
Yeah, and it was a completely consensual, wonderful relationship.
Did you have sex with him when you were 17?
Doesn't matter. We had a romantic relationship. Statute of limitations are over. My mother was completely, she knew I was dating him. I had parental consent, if that's where you're going.
So that's a yes.
It doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, you know, it was a completely consensual relationship.
Now, what you make of that is up to you. But let's also listen to what Miss Nelkin says about the allegations against Woody.
I want to make the distinction that I think people are failing to do between a man who likes to date young women, which I was when we dated, and certainly we know Soon-Yi was as well, and a guy who is molesting prepubescent 7-year-olds.
Nelkin told me she thinks the timing of these allegations was suspect.
Woody was 55 when these accusations happened. There had been nobody before then that had ever accused him of this, and subsequently the last 21 years either. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to trash Mia because she does wonderful, wonderful work as a humanitarian. She's a terrific actress. She's not exactly a saint either. You know, if these allegations are true that Frank Sinatra, or these rumors that she started that Frank Sinatra could possibly be the father of Ronan, that means that Woody was going along while she's pregnant, thinking this is his baby, and maybe it's not. What kind of woman does that?
That's one more woman who knew Woody well, who thinks it's highly unlikely that he molested Dylan. Though sexual practices were different in Woody and Mia's day, what's also clear is that Mia Farrow was as much of a sexual libertine as Woody. They indulged in a menage a trois with the girl who met Woody as a teenager. Why do I say this? Because of the account of Bobby Christina Englehart. Miss Englehart had 3 ways with Woody and Mia. That's right, Mia and Woody had sex with the girl together, a girl Woody met when she was 16, and apparently they all enjoyed each other's company quite a bit. Mia and Woody lived a lifestyle where the line between sexual liberation and sexual exploitation was dangerously close. Given Mia's participation in these sexual escapades, her moral outrage at Woody does seem a little put on. It's the pot calling the kettle black. It's hypocrisy. And by the ways, John Phillips, the man Mia cheated on Sinatra with, is also an accused child sex abuser. His daughter, Mackenzie Phillips, would write a book called High on Arrival. In it, she claims that he gave her drugs throughout her childhood, raped her when she was 18, raped her multiple times thereafter. They also had a consensual, incestuous relationship that lasted a decade. Now, John Phillips passed away before she made these revelations, and his ex-wives and other members of her family denied this happened. But if it's true, it's child abuse, sexual abuse, drug abuse, incest, and grooming. I don't want to lend credence to an allegation that isn't true, so I want you to know it's corroborated by some, like the daughter of one of his bandmates, but it's also denied by others in his family. And unlike the case of Dylan and Woody, there are no court documents or investigations, so I can't dig into the research. My point in bringing it up is to point out the inconsistency in Mia's principles. Mackenzie Phillips claims to have been abused and raped by Mia's ex-lover. Mia's a public advocate for children, yet she said nothing. And that's my larger point. There's little to no consistency in Mia's proclaimed principles and her personal behaviors. She claims to empathize with people who suffer, but shows little empathy towards Lark and her other adopted children while they suffered. She's a hippie when it comes to her own sex life, but she's a Catholic when it comes to Woody's, and a Puritan when it comes to Soon-Yi's. She's outraged by Woody and Soon-Yi's betrayal, but she cheats constantly herself. She claims to be a child advocate, but ignores child abuse when it's committed by her friends, family members, and lovers. And most disturbingly, she actively defended a known child rapist at the expense of his poor victim. So if the question is, can a renowned humanitarian also be personally callous and a hypocrite? The answer is yes. Could a child advocate abuse children? Well, as Mia says herself, adults are not always responsible in every situation. They abuse children every way we can think of.
Human rights are universal, but they're not being realized for the children because the children are vulnerable. It's easy to sell them, to marry them off, to sentence them to a life of labor. Adults are not particularly responsible in all situations, and they abuse children every way we can think of.